MyStory.
MyStory.
MyStory is a place of hope and healing for all people, men, women, veterans, young adults, teenagers, and even children. Everyone, regardless of their social status or sexual orientation. It is a place of motivation and inspiration.
Okay, right. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. So, Stanley, your story is very, very motivating, and I cannot even say how much glad I am that you're here as a man. You're the second man I have interviewed here, and when I have a man agree to come and be vulnerable, to me it's touching. It almost feels like I can tear up because I feel like if we had many more men talk, and here in America, especially Washington, how many men we have lost. And because maybe, just a maybe, they go to look for other vices when they reach to the point where they don't know, should I talk to somebody? Yeah. Should I trust even anybody anyway to talk to when I'm in this low position? And you ended your story in a place where I feel many people go through those things. Divorce. After a big accomplishment in your world. In your world, it was big, it was something you had expected for so long. And now it's here, and now it was going to be a joy with you and your family and all that, and even not get into details. Did you get to a point where you were like, I had all these setbacks? So I think that's why you even asked God, I had all these setbacks. Yeah. And now 14 years later, I have graduated. And now look, what are you trying to tell me? Did you get to a point even you're like, I don't even want to think God you're there? Because we do get to that point, right? Yeah. Did you get to that point? Did you get to a place where you're like, I don't even know what to do anymore. I'm done. So tell us in your own words. You know what I'm trying to ask you. Yeah. Tell us.
So, the point that I can actually say that, I got to a very low point, which actually prepared me for what happened later. So at some point we, started having some family issues, some conflicts here and there. Yeah. And especially for me, having been in the military, I was, there's always that thought, okay, is this what PTSD is? As much as for me, I had not been, in an active battlefield. I went to Afghanistan, but nothing really that significant. Yeah. But I could question myself because you don't always get PTSD from overseas. And I remember one of my commanders before we came back from Afghanistan. He talked to us and he told us that some of us will fight bigger battles at home than we actually saw in Afghanistan. And for me, I felt like that's what was happening. That's what was going on for me, within me. And now I have all these things, all these thoughts, and now it's family, all these issues. So for me being, because in the military they talk about, being resilient. Right. Because, suicides are a big thing in the military. Yeah. So for me,
it's actually among the highest, statistically.
Yes. So for me, I decided to be deliberate about, making sure that I don't get to that bottom. Yeah. Because I would always ask myself, okay, is this what PTSD is? Yes. And I remember at some point, and I don't think I mentioned, my whole, flight school story, because it was all intermingled with being in the army and after the army. But at some point, because when you're going to fly, you want to be in your right mind, and it's actually one of the things that you actually have to check. We call it I'm safe checklist. Okay. So pretty much you make sure that mentally you're fine.
Yeah.
You don't have any fatigue.
Right.
It's actually an acronym. I'm safe. IMSAFE. So, and one of those things is mentally. You have to be in a good mental state. You have to be, you have to be full, not be on an empty stomach.
Yeah.
So for me,
I
actually,
like that. I'm safe.
yes. So, you know, several times before I went flying, sometimes I actually canceled my classes
Oh.
because I was very paranoid. I felt like I was telling you, sometimes I would be very scared on the ground when I think about flying. I felt like something wrong was gonna happen. And the same thing that I was telling you, like, hey, maybe this could be the end to my dreams. Maybe this is how I'm. Yeah. So it was fitting into the same thing.
Yeah.
And anytime, you know, there was a family issue and all that, you know, it kind of, and I would think about flying. Sometimes I would be scared, like, hey, maybe this is gonna happen. Several times I canceled my flights. So
and that's good, because that's like being in tune to yourself.
Yeah.
You realize and you recognize, I'm not safe today.
Yeah.
I'm not safe.
Yeah.
I like that, I'm safe. So you can know when you're safe and you're not safe.
Yeah. So so as much as I feel like it was very tough for me, I think for the most part I was self-aware.
Okay.
But at some point, actually, I started talking to a counselor.
Okay.
But that was mostly for my family issues, because I wanted to be very deliberate about okay, you know, about myself. Is it something that maybe I'm doing wrong? What could I do better?
Right.
So with that, I was able to just try some things here and there, try different strategies, of which eventually it didn't work as far as saving the marriage, but I think it saved my sanity. It saved me from getting to that rabbit hole that I was not going to be able to get myself out of.
And I like that. I like that, because that's encouraging another man right there who's thinking, is it okay to see a therapist? Is it okay to talk to somebody? So you saying you did, I think it's very important for all of us, men, women, teenagers. It's okay to go talk to someone. Yeah.
And for me, honestly, initially, I didn't think I was gonna get a lot of help from that, because I was thinking, okay, what is this counselor going to tell me? Because for me,
I don't know.
Yeah, because for me, I felt like, okay, I have the right intentions.
Right.
I'm gonna try to apply all these principles that I know to keep myself sane.
Right.
So I was thinking, okay, why would I go talk to somebody who's gonna tell me the same thing that I know?
Right.
But it actually helped me a lot, and just having that third eye to tell you, okay, if you thought about this, if you've seen it from this perspective, and all that, and then
even the avenue, just talking.
Sure.
Just we say Kikuyu kuitura. I don't know the right word in English, but just taking out all that out, talking to someone. They might not. Okay, Stanley. I keep seeing a resilient guy, a strong guy, that you go through all that and you still, you still got to your goal. So here you have all the professors working with you, working for you, listening to you and hearing you. And now from there, what happened? What happened after, you're able to graduate at the time you wanted? So what happens when you come home and with the process that's going on? So
with all the support that I got from the school, my professors, I graduated, and actually that day I almost shed some tears, because I could not
believe it.
Yeah, I could not believe it.
Yeah. This is how long? How long did it take you to graduate?
So that was after 14 years, because that was actually last year, May last year.
Wow.
That's when I graduated.
Oh, we're talking about May last year.
Yes, that's when I graduated. And I came to the States in 2008. That's when I started my education journey.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I say that I have enough credits for 2 bachelors because I took so many classes on the side.
Yeah.
I always try to keep myself busy and I like to learn, you know, things here and there.
Yeah.
So yeah, took me a long time, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I feel like I was not, or rather, I'm not just someone just, even though I just graduated last year,
Yeah.
I've been in the industry doing other things. And one key thing I realized is that you should not make any excuses, because as much as I believe education is important,
Yeah.
but you don't have to have a bachelor's degree to do some to do, you know, some jobs. There's so many ways. If you just put in some time to figure out, okay, how do I get this done, how do I get that done,
Right.
eventually you'll find ways to get it done.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I was able to work as a, you know, as a software engineer without a bachelor's degree.
Right.
Well, most of my colleagues had at least a bachelor's degree, some with master's degrees.
Yeah.
But you know, I was there rocking with my associates,
Right.
knowing that, you know,
That
mine is
your
it's
goal.
coming.
Your
Yes.
goal.
Yes.
So when did you start your career? Now that you have graduated your with your engineering, when did you actually start doing the engineering job?
So actually, currently with my job at Boeing, that's the first time that I'm actually using my aerospace engineering degree.
Wow.
Yes.
From
which I
from last year when you graduated it.
No, I continued working with the Navy up until
Okay.
earlier this month.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so I just got the, this new job at Boeing. So
Okay. Congratulations again.
thank you. I'm less than 2 weeks old at
Wow.
Boeing.
And Boeing.
Yes.
Just the word Boeing sounds like Boeing. You know, like it's big and huge.
Yeah.
So you just decided to stay with the Navy throughout doing what you were doing at that time, or is it hard to get engineering job? You know, just for someone who might, because you know, one thing we do as foreigners, we do what is common and what is being done by everybody.
Yes.
A nurse, caregiver, those are the things we look for. But I know there are people who have done other things, and they are prominent people even, which is kudos. And I feel like we need to venture into those other fields too.
Sure.
So I'm thinking though, is it harder to get into like engineering, to get a job as an engineer? Is that what maybe took you that long, or it was just your decision?
So for me, the job that I was doing was giving me a lot of flexibility.
Okay.
Because I was working remotely, and especially when I was going to school, they had given me the flexibility to work a few hours, go to class, come back, continue working,
Okay.
and also being able to work from out of state. So I felt because of that, because of them helping me get through school, I felt like I owed them some time. I can't just graduate and say bye-bye.
Right.
Yeah. And then on top of that, having worked for a while and with responsibilities with children, one thing that you have to think about is the kind of pay they give you.
Right.
So as much as sometime last year I got another offer at Boeing with something more aerospace engineering related, I felt that it was not meeting my needs at that time. So I had to decline that and just continue doing what I was doing, even though that's the job that I wanted to do, the company that I've always wanted to work in. I felt that I would not compromise the kind of livelihood that I was affording myself and my kids just to get into that position. But I knew time was coming because I kept applying and applying and applying. But yeah, so just this month, that's when I started now actively
Yeah.
utilizing my 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 education.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. And you are a good person that you didn't just want to leave the you know, the people you are working for, the Navy, when you graduated.
Yeah, they made it happen for me pretty much.
Yeah, it's the 1 in 10 who comes back. You know, 1 in 10 you go back, and I have to be thankful. And we don't have many good men, but there is still some good men out there.
Sure.
So, wow, thank you. I'm thinking, what? So now you graduated, you still with the Navy people in terms of work.
Yeah.
So what happened between then and now when you got your work, like in terms of your story?
So between then and now, I came back, and of course I have to finalize everything with the divorce,
Yeah.
which it took a while, but finally we got that finalized, and now just a lot of reflecting and looking
Yeah.
back.
Right.
Okay, what is it that I could have done better? And even before that, especially during my during the separation,
Yeah.
there was I decided to actively assess myself and look at, okay, what could I have done better,
Yeah.
and what is it that I did, or rather I've been doing well, and
Yeah.
I don't want to lose that,
Right.
and I want to embolden that.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that, and even though it was a very challenging time, again I could feel like that same feeling, like, okay, this dream will never happen, but at the same time,
Yeah.
now I have it, but then the joy of what I had envisioned, it's really not complete, because yes, I have this degree, but I thought, okay, this is an accomplishment
Right.
for me and my family,
Right.
but that part is missing.
Right.
So in a way, that would kind of took away the joy from that accomplishment,
Yeah.
and it took a while for me to actually move away from that and accept all that, and heal, and actually gather a lot of strength, and pretty much like looking forward, want to even do more, not just for myself, but
Yeah.
also for other people, because I understand how some setbacks can actually
Right.
break you if you're not careful.
Yeah. And it's interesting how when we are at that bottom part, if you have that passion, and when you come out of it, you want to even help other people. I don't know how that works, but a lot of people who are out there to help others, like what MyStory does, or the people I have interviewed here,
Yeah.
when they come out of that part, that bottom, let's pick that part of feeling not so good, they want to do it for others too.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I think it's a beautiful thing, that it's not just for you. Where you were, you want to help someone else come out of where you were.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's beautiful. We'll come back. All right, Stanley. So after your contract with military, you get a new job,
Yes.
and then what happens?
So I got a new job with the Navy, and doing software engineering.
Oh, did you
stuff.
go to military, Navy, or military?
So I went to the Army. I was in the Army before, but for this job I was actually a contractor with the Navy.
Oh, so you
Yes.
can be an army and do contract with?
No, I was already done. So I was a civilian,
Yeah,
but I
see.
got a job. I was employed by a private company,
I see.
but they contract with the Navy to do some of their
Oh.
some of the work there.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it, got it.
Yeah. So I got a job. I actually had a very smooth transition right into a job. So I did not go through what a lot of veterans go through when they when they're done with service and they can't really find a job. So
Yeah.
I thank God I was able to transition right into a job.
Mm-hmm.
But also with that, I was also going to school.
Yeah.
I was already taking classes online,
Mhm.
full time, going to school full time,
Yeah.
and going and working full time.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
well, COVID was a blessing in disguise
Mhm.
because for those courses, I was actually supposed to do them
Mhm.
in class on
Mhm.
campus.
Yeah.
But when COVID, actually, I had a few courses that did not need me to be on campus.
Mhm.
But the following semester,
Mhm.
I actually had to go. But because of COVID, they said, okay, you have the chance to do these courses online. So that helped a lot.
Yeah.
So I've transitioned into a new job,
Mhm.
and then okay, here's COVID.
Mhm.
But then the other challenge was now okay, you know, going to school in Florida because that's where I could have finished my engineering degree. It got to a point
Yeah.
where they said, okay, now these courses you actually have to be in class,
Uh-huh.
and that was very challenging for me because with a family here and now moving there. At that point now we had 2 daughters.
Yeah.
So it was very challenging,
Mhm.
and things did not really work out in a way that we could have gone down there as a family.
Mhm.
Um, and then at that time well, we're having some family issues and
Yeah.
whatnot that actually led into a separation.
Oh.
So again, now this was another setback that made me
Right.
feel like, oh, now this is coming. Am I going to be able to get this done? So it's still
Yeah.
fitting onto that
Wow.
mentality.
It's one thing after another.
Yes, yeah. So eventually, we had the separation, and luckily at that time my parents had already come here.
Mhm.
So especially the help with the kids and all that, we were kind of getting that.
Mhm.
But now I went to school in Florida, and right when I was getting settled in,
Mhm.
I got these divorce papers. So now I'm almost done. I've
Yeah.
worked so hard. I'm almost done.
Yeah.
But now there's this new thing that I have to deal with.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a lawyer at that time. I'm
Yeah.
having to do all the paperwork myself,
Mhm.
and it was very challenging.
Yeah.
So actually, for me, I was kind of in a dilemma between okay, do I go back home first because things get challenging when you're actually out of state.
Right.
Do I go back home and settle this and finish it?
Yeah.
Which means I have to put a pause to my classes,
Yeah.
or do I continue going to classes
Mhm.
and have this risk of maybe the court deciding, okay, now you can't have custody, you're gonna have to come back and try to get that later.
Yeah.
So it was a very challenging time for me because I felt, okay, now this is another thing that's gonna stop me from this goal.
Yeah. And more probably even more personal, more closer than even the other setbacks. Huh?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, this was probably the most painful one of them all. But luckily, I talked to my advisor, and actually before I talked to my advisor, we got to a point where okay, now we have a plan already in place. We've gone to done some of the court stuff, and we have a temporary plan in place.
Yeah.
But now I was worried about the court wants us to finalize this thing, and for them to finalize while I am still not done with school.
Yeah.
That that was gonna be very tough for me because either way I was gonna lose. I was gonna lose if I decide okay, I'm gonna continue with my school. Then who knows how long it's gonna take for me to come back and get everything situated with my kids.
Yeah.
and then I could have decided, okay, let me come back so that I can settle this. But then that means, when will I ever go back to school? Luckily, I talked to my advisor, and this was a really very tough time for me. I talked to my advisor. Luckily, she was very understanding and very supportive. Having actually, she was actually she had gone through a divorce just a few months before I went talking to her. So she understood the pain that comes with that, and she wrote me a very good letter to take to the program coordinator, who in turn had gone through the same thing when he was trying to go to grad school to do his master's. So I think God just puts people in the right places for when we actually need them. So I took the letter. Actually, she sent the letter to the program coordinator, and he called me into his office, and he sent a few emails to the dean of students, to the veterans office, and because his concern was, how are you handling this? How are you even functioning? How are you, like, he was worried about my mental state at that time. And for me, just seeing somebody who's very concerned, not just, hey, you need to pass your classes, but also, I want you in a healthy condition. Go talk to someone. Go see a counselor. You know, for me that was very promising. And then they just, the whole, the dean of the College of Engineering, the dean of students, the program coordinator, my advisor from the veterans office, and my advisor, they were all in sync, and they helped me. I was actually able to take some classes out of sync, because I was supposed to actually graduate in December, but then they were able to give me another plan that I did actually some classes with their prerequisites at the same time. So because I had like 7 credits left after that, so I was supposed to do 7 credits in the fall, and that's spring before that I was gonna take 9 credits. So they were able to help me combine those 2 semesters, even though some of them were prerequisites. They just said, okay, you go do that, finish this, and go take care of your family stuff, which was a very big thing for me. Otherwise, I would have either not graduated, or I would have risked getting everything finalized and then come back and struggle. And mind you, I'm still working a full-time job and having to do all this paperwork for the court. So it was a very challenging time for me, but I'm so glad, being able to talk to 1, 2, 3 people, and people who see your determination, and they say, hey, we're gonna help you succeed. So just being able to talk to people about your problems and knowing when to is really, I found that to be very helpful.
And I'm glad too you found somebody you could tell and they hear you. Because you can tell them and they might decide not to hear you, but they listened and heard you and helped you through that difficult moment. So let's take a little break, water break, and take a sip of juice, lemonade, and water. We'll be right back. So your friend checks on you, and
so we just happened to bump into each other at the student union building, and he just asked me, okay, so like how are you doing? Like really, like how are you doing? And we had this 5 to 10 minute conversation, and actually at that time, and as a man, it was very vulnerable, but at the same time it felt really good having somebody checking on me, and somebody that I actually trusted, who was very genuinely concerned, and also at the same time very happy for me, because I was maybe like 2 months to my graduation. So I talked to him, I told him how things are going. He asked me, okay, how are the classes,
Yeah.
how's the divorce process going on, and we just sat there. He encouraged me,
Yeah.
but for the most part, he listened to me, and
Right.
at some point, I almost had, I was almost shedding tears, and as a man, actually getting to that point, it was really, I can't say it was bad, but I felt really vulnerable.
Yeah.
But at the same time, very encouraged that that somebody was there for me when I actually needed somebody to talk to, because with my schedule, the last semester, it was really bad, because I'm going to classes, and then in between I'm working, and I didn't even have that many friends in Florida. It was back to back. I'm busy.
Work, school, and life, and no friends, no social life.
I had no social life at all.
Knowing what you know, then would you say it's okay for a man to cry?
For me, I think it's okay for a man to cry.
Yeah.
For me, I think I think most of us are. I don't know if I can say we are stubborn.
Or how we grew up.
I think so.
We are told, especially black men,
Uh-huh.
we are told, and we were talking about this earlier with my son, or even, I think more how we grew, our environment, the environment we grew in. You gotta be strong,
Yeah.
you gotta be in control. If I cry, I'm not in control of my emotions.
Yeah.
Is that what you think it is?
So I think there's a huge part that comes with that.
Yeah.
That you don't want to show weakness. Yeah, because we were brought up knowing that, like, you're a boy, like, why are you crying like a girl? So there's that.
Show your masculinity.
Yes.
Lillian talks about that.
Yes. So I think there's a lot to do with just like how we grew up, because here in the States, it's very easy to see men show emotions. But for us, we don't really like to. We don't like to show that.
We don't.
So I think for me, anytime I recognize anything like that, as much as it's still hard for me to, to show emotions, especially in front of people,
Right.
and more so in front of my kids.
Exactly.
But it's something that I kind of work on, but it's still very hard to get to that point in front of people.
And I can understand. I understand 100%. I have a husband, and I have a son, and I have brothers, and friends, and it's not easy for a man to even just talk, even not even showing emotions, just talking the way you're talking here. I have friends who I could even show you text, and one is in Kansas, and he said, "I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing." But I'll come one day with my story. But not now. Right now I'm not ready. And I'm like, that's okay. I understand 100%. Whenever you're ready. So they want to. And I think even these days, even though mental health still, we're not 100% talking about it openly, I think we're getting somewhere.
Sure.
And avenues like this one, it's in the hopes of doing that. Making it not a stigma, talking about it openly, and helping each other. Because just talking, like you talk with your friend, it relieved you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna switch gears and come to a topic that one of my good friends, my good friend, Lillian, is passionate about. Lillian is Lillian Mathenge Dudek. She has a book. She's written 2 books about masculinity, or male, the male gender, and we're gonna talk about that specifically about black men in America, mostly foreigners. It's okay, you can touch anywhere, but I have a passion about foreigners, and we are foreigners here, because, and I have a son who's a foreigner, and friends, and I feel like they are in 2 worlds. They don't know, and we'll talk about that more when we come back.